Ah, Kirby's Dream Land. Released in 1992 on the Game Boy, this is where it all started for the iconic character. A simple, cutesy, side-scrolling platformer with interesting game mechanics and a massive surplus of charm. As Kirby, the lovable little mascot, you have the ability to inhale air to float, and also inhale enemies and use them as projectiles, which is pretty gnarly. This is a classic example of a game that doesn't necessarily look fun to play if you're watching someone else, but once you get a hold of it yourself, you become immersed in the fantasy world created by the game, with its eccentric environments, huge variety of enemies, and intoxicating music. You can't help but love it. The levels have some really cool designs, with the platforming all built around Kirby's floating ability. Each stage gives the player multiple paths to take, which makes you feel like you're in a maze, but for the most part they all lead to the same endpoint. This is still really interesting though because it allows for secret areas and alternate routes, increasing replay value. As you're traveling through these rooms, you'll run across stars to grab onto that take you to other parts of the level. This doesn't sound important, but it helps disguise the tiny levels of a Game Boy game as being larger and more grandiose than they really are, and adds to the sense of adventure. Since Kirby had not yet been given his iconic and signature copy ability in this game, power-ups are scattered throughout the levels which give various abilities. My personal favorite is Fire Breath. The end of each of the first 4 stages feature a boss, with mini-bosses scattered throughout. The bosses are all pretty solid. The game designers did a good job setting them apart from the normal enemies and giving you creative methods of attack for each one that break up the routine of the rest of the game. My personal favorite boss fight is this one, which takes the form of a scrolling shooter. It's satisfying to defeat each one and see Kirby do this adorable little victory dance. Stage 5 features a boss rush, much like in the Mega Man franchise, except that you also get a brief level to play through before each fight. Once you run the gauntlet of rematches with the original 4, you get to take on the final boss and primary antagonist, King Dedede. The fight with him could be better. It's very long and tedious because the only way to attack him is through counterattacks, and he isn't always performing attacks that can be countered. That said, I do love the music in this stage. It's so epic compared to the rest of the game, and it really gives you the feeling of finality, and the wrestling ring setting is just hilarious. Despite the length of this fight, it's pretty darn easy, and that's a recurring theme throughout the game. That could be used as a knock, even though after beating it, you're made aware of a code that will increase its difficulty, but I don't hold the low level of challenge against the game at all, because that clearly wasn't the intended purpose. This was meant to be a relaxing and soothing experience, and it completely succeeds. It's not something I reach for when I want a challenge. I reach for it when I want what I like to call a comfort game. And besides, it's still way tougher than the average kid's game today. But that says a lot more about the state of modern games than it does about Kirby's Dream Land. This game is a classic. It's a must-have for owners of the Game Boy and for any Kirby fan who wants to see what his humble beginnings look like. I always enjoy playing it just because it makes me really happy. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, leaving a thumbs up, sharing, and ringing the bell so you don't miss any future videos. This has been a Leaky Faucet review. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.